This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, and joining me today via webcam is Gerald Celente, the founder of the Trends Research Institute at TrendsResearch.com. Mr. Celente has been a trends forecaster for many years, correctly forecasting such events as the fall of the Soviet Union, the 1997 Asian currency crisis, the Panic of '08, and many other events besides. Mr. Celente, thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, James.
Well, Mr. Celente, the economic talking heads have been talking for some time now about the possibility of green shoots and a recovery from the Panic of '08, which you correctly predicted. So tell us your take on this. What do you think about the possibility that the economy is in fact actually recovering from the panic that happened last year?
Well, first of all, let's look at the experts who are making the predictions. The chief expert is Federal Chairman Ben Bernanke, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke. And if you go back and look at his track record, a month before we went into recession in 2007, in November, he said we weren't going into one. When we were in a recession in January of 2008, he said the Federal Reserve had forecast that we were not going to go into a recession. We already were in it. And then you go back to April when he was talking to Congress. He said they didn't see a recession coming, and we had been in it already for 4 months. So why anybody would listen to these people to tell them what's going to happen next when they didn't see what was coming is beyond me. It's either they're ignorant or they're lying. I can't give the value judgment of which it is. I can't get inside their heads. There is no recovery. It's a cover-up. And you only have to look at the facts. The fact is the dollar's diving, and gold prices, as we had forecast, are soaring. And the reason both of those things are happening is because the same old story. You can't print phantom money out of thin air based on nothing and producing practically nothing without destroying the economy, the dollar, and the national strength. So this is only a temporary recovery. They've juiced it up with fake stimulus money.
Absolutely. Well, we've also heard much talk recently about the possibility of a jobless recovery, and that we've entered a new economic order in which the economy itself will recover, but perhaps the average person on the street won't see any difference. Well, obviously, I think there's some motivation behind that type of rhetoric, but do you think that perhaps we have entered a new economic order? And if so, what form does that take, and what will it look like for the average person?
Well, first of all, on the jobless recovery, that's like saying almost pregnant. There's no such thing. And what they're looking at are the profits on Wall Street, and they're calling that recovery. So as far as the new economic order, yeah, there's a new economic order. It's called the Greatest Depression, and we're already in it. The markets collapsed back in March of 2009. And the only thing that they've done is papered it up with fake money. So the reality is, for the average man on the street, the quality of life is going to continue to decline, particularly as they take money away from the average taxpayer and keep feeding it to the too big to fails so they can keep being propped up. So we're looking at a very long downturn. And as I said, we already are in the Greatest Depression. It's a cover-up. It's been papered over with phantom money.
Well, what do you see developing specifically in the economic sphere over the next year?
We are going to see a financial crisis that's already beginning, and it's going to be the currency crisis, as we're seeing with the dollar. And what should be understood is this is going to impact the entire world. A giant is falling. The American empire. This is bigger than just an economic collapse. So we're going to see this ripple through worldwide. China's not going to escape it. No country is. China is an export-driven country. There's talk about them building domestic demand and a controlled economy is just that, it's talk. It takes decades, if not generations, for that to happen, if it happens at all. And it's not going to happen without strong global growth. So we don't know which kind of economic trigger is going to set off the spark of reality that adds up to the numbers. When you look, James, at effective unemployment in the United States, when you put in the people that are no longer looking for work, they've given up. When you put in the people in there that are off the rolls, they disappeared. When you put in there the number of people that are working part-time or those looking for jobs that can't find any, the effective unemployment rate is about 20%. By the time this is over, we're going to see Great Depression numbers of unemployment. The worst is yet to come.
So what do you recommend for the average person out there to try to hedge against this reality?
I can only tell you what I do. As a trend forecasting group, we don't give financial advice. We say the directions things are going and strategies to consider. My personal strategy, and I've been saying it for many years since we predicted the bottom of gold in December of 2001, I'm a strong buyer of gold. Over 80% of my assets have been put in gold. For the cash that I have, we run a business and operation. We have half in euros and half in dollars. So it's not a time for us to speculate. It's a time for wealth preservation. And that's what we're doing. So the gold is our wild card. It's not so wild as it looks now. And the hedge against euros and dollars is so that we have parity. For the people that don't have that luxury, we're saying pull back, don't buy. Any gifts you buy this Christmas and the holidays, graduations, whatever religious holiday, whatever event, buy a gift from your local community first and then your country that you live in. Buy arts. Art is the way of finding the true meaning of the human spirit. We're going to go through very difficult times, and we believe that we're heading into the Second American Revolution. And so that we head into that without violence and make it more of an intellectual and productive revolution, it has to have art in a renaissance. It's what made the last one, and it's what can make this one.
Well, that's an incredibly important point and one that very few people are making, so I'm glad to hear that. Well, Mr. Celente, tell people how they can find out more information about the Trends Research Institute and your work.
Our website is trendsresearch.com, plural, trendsresearch.com. And we encourage them to go to our website, look at the work that we have done, look at our trends that are posted. The motto of the Trends Research Institute is think for yourself, think ahead, and be prepared. Hope is not going to show up at the doorstep. So this is a time for people to really move forward in a positive direction. It's a very, very difficult climate ahead, and to do so with a clear mind and be healthy in mind, body, and spirit, because only the top is going to survive. Not the top in income, but the top of people that are embracing those elements of spiritual, emotional, and physical strength.
Mr. Gerald Celente, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you, James.